Decolonizing education is the process of challenging and re-evaluating colonial narratives, structures and assumptions within education systems. This includes recognizing the importance of Indigenous history and perspectives in education. Decolonizing education means creating a more inclusive and equitable education system that acknowledges the history, culture and experiences of Indigenous peoples. In many countries, education systems are based on colonial narratives that erase the histories and perspectives of Indigenous peoples. This has resulted in a lack of understanding of Indigenous cultures and societies, as well as a lack of respect for Indigenous rights and perspectives. Decolonizing education seeks to challenge and change this narrative by incorporating Indigenous knowledge and perspectives into education. One of the key components of decolonizing education is teaching Indigenous history. Teaching Indigenous history is important because it provides students with a more accurate understanding of the history and culture of Indigenous peoples. It also gives students a more well-rounded view of the world, as well as a deeper appreciation for the diversity of cultures and perspectives. In addition to teaching Indigenous history, decolonizing education also involves teaching Indigenous perspectives. This means teaching students to understand and respect the perspectives of Indigenous peoples. It also involves teaching students to recognize and challenge colonial structures and assumptions that may be embedded in education systems. Another important aspect of decolonizing education is incorporating Indigenous language and knowledge into educational programs. Incorporating Indigenous language and knowledge provides students with a deeper understanding of Indigenous cultures and societies. It also provides a connection to the past and helps students gain an appreciation for the diversity of Indigenous knowledge and perspectives. Finally, decolonizing education also involves engaging with Indigenous communities. This means creating meaningful partnerships with Indigenous communities and engaging in meaningful dialogue with them. This can help to create a more respectful and inclusive learning environment for students. Decolonizing education is an important step in creating a more equitable and inclusive education system. It involves acknowledging the history, culture and perspectives of Indigenous peoples and incorporating Indigenous knowledge and perspectives into education. It also involves engaging with Indigenous communities and creating meaningful partnerships with them. Decolonizing education is a process of challenging and re-evaluating colonial narratives, structures and assumptions within education systems. By doing so, we can create a more equitable and inclusive education system that recognizes and respects the history, cultures and perspectives of Indigenous peoples.